It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Jen Cohen as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Hello and welcome to Countywide. I'm your host, Jen Cohen. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we are talking about the Jerome Volunteer Fire Department, the history of volunteerism, how it works with the Volunteer Fire Department. We're with Chief Rusty Blair. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks, Jen. Glad to be here.
Yep, you rolled down the hill this morning.
Yeah.
Into the studio.
It's easier to go downhill than uphill, you know.
Especially in the morning, so early. So
exactly.
Now, what I find so fascinating, Jerome in and of itself is an amazing place. Mm-hmm. But they've had a volunteer fire department now for 120 years?
Yes,
almost 120?
1899 is when we incorporated, so that'd be 119 years. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, really a wide tradition of that for volunteerism. You know, people back in the day would volunteer so they could help provide fire suppression for their neighbors and stuff. So, and when Jerome had 15,000 people, they actually had 3 engine companies. So, wow. So it was a pretty busy little town. And prior to the 1899s, it burnt down 3 different times because they did not have a fire code and they did not have a fire department. So that's how that kind of progressed. So, and then in the 50s, it kind of dried up because of the mine shutting down. So early 60s or late 60s, 70s, it started to come back because the per se hippies moved in, you know, and now there's some of them are still around, you know, and they started bringing back to town. Infrastructure was gone, you know. Some of the water pressures were at 300 psi, you know, because they didn't have the regulators working right and stuff. So it was and a lot of disrepair that they had to deal with, and developing of all the different policies and stuff like that. So the forerunners of this really appreciate them, you know, because they were the ones that brought Jerome Fire back into the 20th century, per se. And it's been a long process, especially if you really look at the statistics of my volunteer activity. We essentially had anywhere from 16 to 20 people volunteering on the fire department throughout the years, you know. So, but typically there's maybe 5, 6 that are really serious about doing the deal. So it's real consistent that way. But the biggest change is the call volume, you know, because originally, back in the 70s, they were running anywhere from 4 to 11 calls a year, you know.
A year.
Yeah.
4 to 11 calls a year.
Yeah. And so they, you know, and now today I'm over 400 calls on the year. So it is a bigger burden for the volunteers, a lot more activity. So. Yeah.
And why are you a volunteer fire department versus a regular fire department?
Well, regular as in we are a regular fire department. We are professionals just like any other paid department. We do educate our personnel. The reason being that we are volunteer to this day is because of money restraints, you know. And that's always usually a factor with these small rural communities, because most of them cannot facilitate having paid personnel. So we are just kind of moving into a combination department now, where we have a few paid people, and the rest are volunteer, just because of the overwhelming amount of paperwork involved. We have all the same requirements as any other department. We, hydrant test, hose test, air packs, just keeping track of batteries is a nightmare. The reporting into the government so that we can get grants and stuff. Jerome Fire has been really fortunate in their grant writing process. We received actually everything in that building is grant money, so or donated in one form or another. So we've been real successful with the city government block grants. They help facilitate getting the building built, donations, that kind of thing.
It's great that you have that kind of support.
Right.
Just last week, you got a FEMA grant for a brand new fire engine.
Yeah, for $400,000, $418,000. So, like I say, we've been really fortunate in our ability to acquire these units, and we actually got really nice equipment for a volunteer agency. So very fortunate. That kind of helps draw in volunteers.
Sure.
The problem with our community is we have a small population of 444 people. It's so it's very challenging to attract people. There's some of the older set, like me, that have been around for quite a long time now, but drawing the new younger guys in a little bit difficult. For one, housing's kind of getting more expensive, harder to house them. Two is getting them to commit to getting educated, because we also sponsor our people to go to college for EMT and firefighter 1-2. So that's a huge commitment. The town does pay for that, because it's kind of like it's a lot cheaper than hiring, full-time personnel.
Sure, sure.
But,
yeah, because in full-time personnel, you're paying them whether they're working or not, is my understanding. Volunteers get paid while they're on the mission. When I started out, we got $5 per call per meeting. Wow.
And now it's up to $13.50, so they're making the big money now.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. We're talking about the Jerome Volunteer Fire Department, all the things you ever wanted to know, with Chief Rusty Blair. You can give them a call at 649-3034. They'll always answer the phone. Very nice. Rusty always says everybody has a cell phone number. Check out jeromefd.org. We'll be right back with more Countywide, so don't go away.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool. Oh, yeah. Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
And welcome back to Countywide. I'm Jen Cohen. We're talking with Chief Rusty Blair from the Jerome Volunteer Fire Department. Now, before we took a break, we mentioned, Jerome, small population, a little over 400 people. Everybody has your cell phone. So when we talk about running the average 500 calls a year, you just said something fascinating. How many of those actually go through alarm, and how many of those go directly to your cell phone?
Well, I respond to, so far this year, just under 300 calls through my cell phone, 112 through alarm. And the reason I do that is to save money, to help with our budget, because every time we run something through alarm, it costs money. So, and if my average is up in the 600s, then I get charged for that, and it would cost the town an extra $20,000–$30,000 a year.
Wow! So,
if it's something where I can handle it myself or with one other guy, I usually will call around and get some help, or I'll determine whether I need additional resources, and then I will dispatch through alarm. But if I don't need an ambulance or additional engines or additional personnel, I'll just deal with it. So
wow,
it makes it interesting.
Well, how about that? That's pretty clever of you. How long have you been there?
I've been on the fire department 22 years. I've been chief now 11 years. So
right.
And with the limited staffing, I'm on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I bet you are. Oh my gosh.
It gets a little tiring, but it's very rewarding. I did this for the love of my community, and fortunately, along the way, they started paying me. So
thank goodness for that.
That was kind of a bonus.
It must be a challenging town to do any sort of fire or emergency activity. It covers only 1 square mile of land, and you guys have 200 square miles of service area, and then you've got the elevation change, and you've got the tiny streets and the funny old houses with the little walkways. I can't imagine a more challenging place to be a fire person.
It is very challenging because we do have the narrow streets. The topography is very steep. We do have areas where we have a boardwalk. You don't even have a street bordering it. Some of the roads, I have contingencies for running smaller pieces of apparatus down to help facilitate the situation. We have set up hose sheds near hydrants, so that with hose in it and appliances, so that they can actually fight a fire directly off the hydrants. Some of our streets are very steep in the residential area, so we're fighting fire from the road either above or below. And so it's very labor intensive deploying hose and making a fire attack. And that's part of the challenges we face with our volunteers, is getting them all familiar with all the equipment. Being a volunteer differs in ways from the paid departments. All our personnel need to know every truck and where everything's at. Typically, if you are on a paid department, you are either an engineer, you're the hose guy, or you're this. But on a volunteer agency, you never know who's going to show up, and so they need to be prepared to maybe engineer the apparatus or do extrication, rope, know how to run the brush truck, just all these other little challenges that people really don't.
Wow, it's an incredible amount of training.
Yeah. So I mean, and my hat's off to our volunteers for undertaking that. We do have people that specialize like in the ropes, Alan Muma, who's the police chief, actually is on the fire department. He's one of my EMTs, and he actually got into the rope aspect of it, and now he teaches for me. So we put on rope classes up in Jerome. We're hosting another one in September, September 14th, 15th, 16th, and then the following weekend to certify other agencies' personnel. So we've, I think that if you're going to volunteer, you do it 100%, and if you're going to be rope certified, you need to do that 100%, because that's people's lives are on the line when you do that stuff. So we actually do a rope training every fourth Saturday of the month, which is an additional burden. We train every Thursday night. We try to make it as realistic as possible. We'll run smoke machines in big buildings and stuff and make our guys go in and do interior fire attacks. Throughout the years, we've been able to acquire some acquired structures so we can burn them in place and let our guys go in and do a real interior attack, so we do mutual aid with the other agencies down here. Most recently, we were called in on the commercial fire there behind the bank, and some of my guys, that was the first fire they ever been on, so they got to,
They cut their teeth.
Yeah, they got to.
What does it take to be a volunteer? Who can be a volunteer?
Anybody can volunteer, it's about the mental aptitude or the desire to. People have different motivations, Mine is to help out my community. Some people are looking to go into a career, and some people just want to be a part of something, so.
For sure. What percentage do you think of volunteer fire departments versus paid fire departments are there around the country right now?
Well, the statistics used to say 70%. A lot more back east and more rural areas are forced to have volunteer fire departments because they can't facilitate a paid department.
Sure.
So those are ones that are having challenges with education and equipment, and so it's pretty incredible that that's out there. Back east, you had generations and generations of firefighters. Out west here, people move from back east. So and you never know if they're really going to settle in or not.
Yeah, retention must be an issue. I'm surprised 70% of the fire departments are volunteer, and that's amazing. I would have thought 30. I'm really shocked by how high that number is.
And it's decreasing because it's getting harder and harder to retain personnel and attract them into the fire service.
That's true. Yeah. We're going to take another quick break. We're talking about the Jerome Volunteer Fire Department with Chief Rusty Blair. Check out jeromefd.org. We'll be right back with more Countywide, so don't go away.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
what to expect when you're expecting.
Like here?
A teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to teen-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
Ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Smokey. Only you can prevent wildfires.
And welcome back to Countywide. Just a few seconds left. I'm Jen Cohen. We're talking with Chief Rusty Blair from the Jerome Volunteer Fire Department. We've been talking about the ins and outs of volunteer fire departments and, of course, being in Jerome. That's truly amazing. So you're always looking for more volunteers, of course.
Yes, we are. But we do require them to live in town or at least have a job in town that they can break away from, because otherwise the response is slow.
Makes sense.
I have what we call associates. That's people that do have certifications that want to actually train more, because they're not affiliated with an agency yet. So, and they want to come up and play on Thursday nights, and I let them come up, and it makes our trainings a bit more realistic, because we got more personnel to drop into the different slots. And so, but yeah, it is difficult to rent up in Jerome, so it kind of restricts us. But like I say, if you do not live in Jerome or work in Jerome and can break away from your job, your response would be really slow, and it wouldn't really benefit us. Some of our associates do come up and they'll staff the station while we are out on a call in case there's an additional call. But it's just a challenge always.
Sure, yeah, that does sound challenging, but you're right, response time would be important. Okay, so other than supporting through volunteerism, how can we support the Jerome Volunteer Fire Department?
Well, we do have an auxiliary, and there is we accept donations, of course. Our auxiliary helps support having direct TV and food on, we do a business meeting on the first Thursday of the month, and we provide pizza and stuff for the guys, uniforms. There's several other things that we utilize the auxiliary monies for. They've actually been instrumental in helping move Jerome Fire into the future, because they helped get donations for matching funds for apparatus back in the day, and the station that was built in '96. There's a lot of things they do to help support us. We do have our big activity coming up. October 27th is our Halloween dance, which is our biggest money maker of the year. So
that's a wicked good time.
Yeah,
any chance to go up to Jerome and party, especially on Halloween. I mean, it doesn't get any more fun. Check out jeromefd.org. Jeromefd.org. Check it out. There's a link for the auxiliary there. There's a link about volunteerism. There's all the history that we didn't have time to get to, ways you can help, little things you can do, all the information you could ever want. Chief, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Jen.
Really appreciate your dedication to Jerome and the work that you've been doing for over 20 years.
Well, thank
really
you.
Do.
I appreciate that.
Thank
it's
you.
always good to have, thanks.
You're welcome. That's all the time we have for Countywide. We'll see you again next time.